Today's recipe is called Cake in a Jar. This makes a great gift. In fact, a lot of people will send these cakes to soldiers in Iraq because it packs and it's preserved and it lasts a long time. So I like to do this as a Christmas gift for people, just a nice thank you to somebody, and it's very easy, very quick type of present to do. What I'm going to do first of all is set my oven, and I need to preheat it to 350 degrees. So while that's preheating, the next step that you're going to need to do is take canning jars. These are pint size, but they're the wide mouth. And I like the wide mouth because it's easier to get the cakes in, the cake batter in, and then dump the cake out once you use it. So these need to be cleaned first, washed and dried really good, really well. Watch my English. And these are brand new lids and rings. And you'll put these in a separate pan full of water in a saucepan. I don't have the water in it yet, but you will put for all of yours, and each one of you will make one of these. The recipe will make one for each one of you. But then the first thing you need to do is get your jar prepared. So I'm going to wash this in hot soapy water. And then dry it really good. Rinse the soap off, and then you want to dry it. Once it's dried, and you'll do this for all of your cake, for all the jars. I'm going to use just a regular cake mix. It will do probably 4 jars, as long as you don't fill them too full. But what you'll do is bake one for each one of you. And so you'll get all 4 ready. Then these need to be sprayed because you don't want the cake mix to stick. So I'm going to use, this is canola oil, just to spray, and you'll spray the inside of these. And I like to spray this over my sink in case there's extra oil that flies out. It doesn't get on the counters and it doesn't get on the floor to make the floor slippery. So you want to use enough spray to coat the inside of this. And I think you can maybe see that it is coated. So it's not crystal clear anymore. So the jar's ready. You may use any kind of cake mix you want when you're making this. I happen to have a spice cake mix, and some people like chocolate better, some people like white confetti. I find it easier and less of a mess if I cut the top of it off. I'll put that in a bowl. And then follow the recipe, the directions on the back of your cake mix, and it shows 3 eggs, a 1/3 cup of oil, and 1 1/3 cups of water. So you'll use all the eggs, and let me get the oil ready. And this is one of these measuring cups that you look at top down. So I have a 1/3 cup of oil. And then back at your kitchen sinks, you can get the water. And this calls for 1 1/3 cups. So I have a 1 cup, then I'll get a 1/3 cup. And then it also calls for 3 eggs. Now I never break all 3 eggs into my bowl. I always do it in a separate container because sometimes you might get eggshells, you might get a bad egg, and I've had some bad eggs for a while. So break it in a bowl and then put them one at a time into the cake batter. And I had 3 good eggs. And then take your electric mixers, and you're going to start this on low, making sure that your beaters are completely down in. Don't mix it like this because you will have batter flipping out all over the place. And like I told you before, I always put my hand over this. I don't get my fingers in the beaters, but I put my hand here just to keep all the splatters. So start on low till it's all mixed up. I guess you have to plug it in first. So like I said, just start it on low, turn your bowl, move this around inside the bowl, but don't lift it up. Keep it down inside. I need to turn it off and scrape the sides down. Get all that batter, the dry ingredients around the sides. Now I can speed it up just a little bit. And sometimes you can take 2 hands. And then you can turn it on high once it's all mixed in. So this is the cake batter is all mixed. There aren't any more dry spots to it. And take your beaters and get most of the cake batter off. And my oven is ready. So what you'll do now is you'll take your canning jars. In a 1/4 cup measure works pretty good. You're going to end up with about a cup of cake batter in this. And try to keep it off the edges and the top of your jar. I want this filled to about halfway. This really rises up a lot, and if you get too close to the top, it will overflow, and then you have to cut some of the cake off. If you look on the side of your jars, there is a line. I went over it just a little bit. Right there's a little notch. That's about, you really shouldn't go over that, and I did. Shame on me. So you can see how much how much room I have left at the top. And I need to wipe this off because I have little bits of cake batter on the side. So you'll do this with all of your cakes. Get them clean because this will rise. And you need, like a jelly roll pan, something with sides on it. You're going to set all of your jars in this. These will go into the oven and we'll bake them about 15 minutes, and then we'll check them with a toothpick to see if they're done. So this is the next step, and then we'll get these in the oven, and then we'll pick it up from when they're done in the oven. While the cake is baking, you need to get hot water in a pan and enough water to cover all of your lids and rings. And you need to boil this. This is a way of sterilizing and making sure that everything's nice and hot. Whenever you're canning, you always want things sterilized, and that's what you're doing with this. You're not canning, but yet we are doing this cake in a canning jar, and it will seal, and it will be sealed so that it's preserved. And so we have to get, while that cake is hot, coming hot out of the oven, we have to put our toppings on and have these lids that are boiled. You're going to use some tongs to pull them out of the water and get them on top of the canning jar and get the ring on and turn it on so that it seals. And eventually, once it's cooled down, it'll pop. You'll hear it ping, and we'll know that that can has been sealed. So right now, before the cakes get done, I'm going to boil this and get these nice and hot, ready to go. Depending on what kind of cake mix you have and what you want to put on top of your cakes, sometimes, well, this recipe I like to add extra toppings. This one I'm going to put butterscotch chips on. I have some English toffee bits. And you may or may not like these, and it doesn't take a lot, so I've got these in a small container. I'm also going to add a little bit of caramel syrup to it. You can put chocolate syrup, but all this has to be done very quickly. Once this comes out of the oven, you've got to get this on that hot cake, that hot jar, and then you've got to get the lid on there ASAP right away so that it will seal. It needs to be very hot when it does it. Now my cake is really bubbling up high. It's over the top of the jar, so I'm going to have to do some cutting, cut some of the top of it off. And you saw that I didn't, it was just a little over the halfway mark, so make sure you don't go over halfway on that jar, because it really does rise up high. When you test this, you need to stick a toothpick in the center of this, and if it comes out clean, then you know that that cake is done. If you can see this cake, it has run over. It's way overflowing. And so my suggestion to you is to take, and this is hot now, remember that, is to take and fill that below the half cup, that one, not the half cup, but that line there. So I have to cut the top of this off, and I'm going to do a little scooping. Like I said, time is of the essence in this, which means you don't have a lot of time to work this. I'm going to put a little bit of caramel sauce on this. And that's sinking down in. Pour my other stuff on top of it. Take some tongs and get this hot lid and wring out of the water. And I need to clean that off because I can't, it won't seal with that cake mix on this edge there. So you need to wipe that off. Put that on top. Set the ring on. You probably need something to hold it so that, because it's hot, twist it on and takes, twist it tight enough, and then we'll leave it sit and we should hear it ping. Another thing you can do is put a piece of fabric and rubber band or tie a ribbon around it, put a little bow on it, give it, to so-and-so from you, and it makes a nice Christmas gift, and somebody knows that you went to some extra effort to make them a gift. So this is what your cake in the jar looks like, and you want to make sure that it's not, like I said, I filled a little bit over that line, ouch, it's hot, where that line was, and so you want to make sure that it's under the line, probably 1/4 of an inch. And I had to add quite a bit of time to this, so when you do this, somebody's got to get the jars ready immediately. Somebody has to get ingredients really, really fast, and your cook has to work and get that cake mix done and in the jars, because this has got to go in the oven. You don't have a long time, and once it comes out, then you've got to work hard to get it all back together.